Happy Monday, everyone. It's a Meta Monday here at the Hodl Fandom where we take a deep dive into Veve's metadata. Now, we missed last week's episode because I needed more time to create my OUP review. Now, similar to Meta Mondays, I take a deep dive in the numbers of the OMI utility program. If you haven't watched it, I'll link it down below. I also learned that the cap of my videos per week is max to 1, given the amount of research I like to put into each and every single one of my videos. So if you don't see anything on a future Monday, just know that there's probably a bigger video on its way. And I'd probably announce it as well on Twitter, just to give you guys a heads up. Anyways, let's dive into the data, and we'll see some mixed results here. On one hand, active users seems to be at least on par with the prior month. November month to date has 25,500 active users based on what I define as active. If we do a straight line projection for a full month, we get 38,240, which is a 7% increase from October. Now that's the good part. There are more returning accounts to Veve. I wouldn't necessarily say new accounts, as the unique wallets really haven't budged in November. On the flip side, it's a different story when we look at what people are doing. Here are the total transactions for the month so far. The big peak here was the Marvel Mighty's Black Panther drop. Now, total transactions in November, month to date, are around 227,000 transactions. Projecting for a full month, we get 340,000, which compared to the prior month is a decrease of 15%. That's quite a decrease from October. When I first saw this, my first guess was it's the smallest tier that drove the decrease. But I was wrong. The data shows, yes, a projected decrease of 32% in that smallest tier. But the tiers that look to have decreased the most were the middle tier whales. Now, that was surprising, but I think I have an explanation that I'll get to in a second. First, it's interesting to note that the biggest tier of whales is the group that continues to accumulate here in November. So why are the middle tier whales dropping in market activity? One reason could have been the late October flurry of comics that were released on Veve with the Marvel Zombies 5-issue series. I did establish in a prior episode that the whales love to stack cheap comics on the secondary market, so I believe that is the reason for this dip. I also hope that is the reason for the dip and not a symptom of a bigger issue. Now, I had mentioned that the whales could be stacking cheap comics because of the potential to burn them for a future reward. But it was also mentioned at DCon this past weekend that the Master Collector program will help buy Veveverse land as well. I was not there. This was something that I saw floating around on Twitter that someone from the team might have mentioned during a discussion panel or something. Now, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but it's possibly another reason to go grab the comics while they're cheap, because they're cheap MCP points. That's just more incentive for the whales and others to grab them. If Ecomi is concerned about the drop in market activity, I'd recommend dropping even more full series of comics, which will take advantage of this market trend that you're seeing right here. You see, market activity is a selling point for licensors, which is great for the platform. The issue with that is, without marketing, and in this bear market that we're in, it does hurt NFT holders as the value continues to dilute amongst the larger offerings on Veve. It's really a tough balance. I would say overall gaining licenses is bigger for the long-term prospects of the platform and ensuring that we corner the market. But let's go back to the data. Even with the middle tier whales decreasing their market activity, what have they been doing overall for the month? Well, they've been stacking specifically Uncanny X-Men 141 and 142, which was dropped at the very start of this month, yet still stands as the most stacked by the whales. That's the Days of Future Past comic, and even I grabbed a handful. I'm not a whale, and I didn't grab them for MCP points or for burning, but because I love the comic. It has actually special meaning to me as the story that really got me into comics 30 years ago. When the whales bought Days of Future Past, they bought most on the secondary market, and for good reason. They were really cheap. And what do the shrimps do? Well, the wallets holding less than 100 collectibles did the exact opposite and got most of their holdings off the drop. Shrimps continue to gamble, and whales are efficient with their money. Swim with the whales. The same trend can be seen with Namor and the Wakanda Forever drop. The wallet distribution also seems to mimic the Pride airdrop, with the middle tiers being the holders of Namor, which is the key piece to this airdrop for Shuri. It's nice to see this wallet distribution, as I view the middle tiers as collectors and the survivors of last year's bull run. The collectors, in this case, looks like they're being rewarded. Now, off the drop, Namor was $130, but is now double that at $260. If you want the airdrop, that's the bulk of the cost. But if you don't want the airdrop, but you still want to pick up a Namor, definitely wait until it's dropped. People should dump Namor afterwards. That's the usual trend when you have an airdrop. It's a race to sell before the massive undercutting kills the price. So what's the overall story the data is telling us this week? Well, the user base looks steady, but the activity amongst the middle-tiered whales has dipped quite a bit. Now, I see that as the whales are stacking, but have a very targeted game plan, and the drops this month so far have not fed into that plan. I hope this gives you insight on the different strategies and trends out there to help you develop a game plan for yourself. That's the value add I hope to provide to you all here on Meta Mondays. So thanks for joining this week's episode, and I'll see you in the next video.